What up, fam? You're listening to Here's the Thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone and Chrome. We got a lot to talk about. We'll have a catch with Mitch at the end of the show. World Series check-in, Phillies offseason outlook, and we'll recap the 2023 season, even though we really don't want to. But we're here to talk to you. Let's go.
What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
Welcome in, everybody, to Here's the Thing with Mitch Williams and Tom Arnone and Chrome. We are always brought to you by our good friends over at Royal Billiard, at a premier game room store of the Delaware Valley, stocked with the very best in pool tables, accessories, shuffleboards, card tables, dart supplies, bars, and bar stools. Turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary gaming experience. Oh, did we mention they have hot tubs, too? You can check out Royal Billiard. They're located at 515 Bethlehem Pike, Colmar, PA, or visit them on the web, royalbilliard.com. Jam-packed show in store for everybody today. We'll have a catch with Mitch at the end of the show. We'll check in on the World Series, even though we don't want to, but we love baseball. Phillies offseason outlook. Talk about maybe who's back, who can come in here, who hasn't been here before, and just some of our thoughts on what the Phillies need to do this offseason to get back to the NLCS with a chance to go to the World Series again. Phillies 2023 season recap is the main topic at hand, and that ties into our poll question. That's brought to you by Carlino's Market. You got to go check them out. They're in Ardmore or Westchester, PA. Shop Carlino's Italian food online or go into the store, like gourmet cheeses, meats, olive oils, gift baskets. Elevate your dining experience with Carlino's Gourmet Italian Deli. Discover the taste of Italy now. So go check out our good friends over at Carlino's Market. Our poll for this afternoon show. A week later, can't believe it's been a week already. A week later, this collapse by the Phillies is still the biggest collapse in Philadelphia sports history. Do you agree or disagree? And you can let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, that's where we're live. And everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the conversation this afternoon. Let us know if you agree or disagree that a week later, this collapse by the Phillies is still the biggest collapse in Philly sports history. Let us know. Mitch, lead us off. What do you think?
For me, I would have to say yes, just because it was so disappointing. I look at the situation they were in. I would have bet everything I owned that there was zero chance of the Diamondbacks coming into Philly and taking game 6 and 7. There's just no way it should have happened. And we were talking before the show, Tom. I watched those games, and I was just stunned. The Phillies went outside the strike zone so many times that they looked like the young, inexperienced playoff team, not the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks didn't chase much, but the Phillies spent both of those games chasing pitches way out of the zone. And then to hear Torey Lovullo say in his pregame interview that he knows that the Texas Rangers aren't going to chase like the Phillies. That's the book on the Phillies, that they will go outside the strike zone. And it led to their downfall. I mean, so many of them. I don't know how many outs in games 6 and 7 were actually recorded on strikes. And that's just a really sad way to end a great season.
It really is. I mean, we talked about it last Monday, that we thought there was no shot they come in here and they win both, right? Like, we didn't give them much of a chance, and we probably should have, right? But we thought that this group, which I don't think is a total lie. I think this group is resilient. I think they are tough. I think it is a close-knit group. So I don't want to run away from some of the things that we may have believed 10 days ago, because I still think that stuff's true. You know,
I
also,
do too.
You know,
I don't argue that at all with you, Tom. I think they're absolutely a team that you should keep together.
Yeah, and we'll talk about a little bit of that on what some moves we can make and bring back, etc. But like Trea Turner said, and Mitch, it's simple. There's one sport and one place where you can't try to do too much at, and that's in the box. You start trying to do too much in the box, you'll get yourself exposed real quick. And for him to come out and have that quote the other day where he says, listen, I just tried to do too much. And I think part of that is, and I hate to say this, if we were playing game 6 and game 7 in Arizona, maybe they don't try to do too much. And that's not on us as fans. That's on the atmosphere. Sometimes that atmosphere, not as an excuse, just human nature, sometimes that atmosphere, you start trying to do too much. You start trying to lose a baseball instead of just staying through a baseball. A lot of factors. And then it's contagious, right? Yep. Hitting's the most contagious thing in all sports.
And
right?
so is punching out.
Yeah, so is punching out, right? And they did a lot of it. I mean, I agree with the poll. I haven't ran from it in a week. Like that as much as I love this team and love this group, that's beyond disappointing on what happened. That is the definition of a collapse because part of it is who you're playing, right?
I promise you, we ain't saying a damn thing that Bryce Harper, Trea Turner, Nick Castellanos, that entire lineup has already said about themselves. They know. And I've been in that situation. I mean, I've lost a World Series, so I know what it's like to make mistakes. And the biggest thing they're going to have to overcome is just putting it behind them. Once they do that, they've got a really good baseball team. They really do. When they force pitchers over the plate, they're a dangerous baseball team.
Oh, they are. They got to flush it, right? That's the biggest thing. They got to flush the number 2 down the toilet because that's what it was. It was a big dump, and they got to flush it and move on. And listen, when you're playing at that level, it's not easy. I'm not telling you it's easier there than at the youth level. But, that I hate to say that's what you're paid for, but you're the 1%. And you get there because of what's up here. You get there because of what's between the legs. And I think this group's tough, and I think that we'll be back having the same similar conversation, not a collapse, but
I fully expect them to be back in the NLCS again next year.
Agreed.
I don't expect them to get off to the slow start like they did this last year in 2023. I expect them to come out and put together a season that all the fans can say, okay, this team is right back where they're supposed to be. And that's what you have to look for. Come April, I just want to see a bunch of guys go out there and force pitchers over the plate. Look at the Diamondbacks did it. They forced our pitchers over the plate. They weren't walking, or they weren't swinging at balls out of the zone very often. And I look back at that lineup, and I can only picture a couple of guys in Arizona's lineup that you could count on going outside the strike zone. But our guys did it from 1 to 9, and that's where the NLCS was lost. Chromiak, you going to talk today?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are just flowing. I wanted to let it go. I didn't want to jump in,
Jump in.
Listen. This one's up there for sure. I said this last week. I said it on we did an immediate right after post-game show, and I stand by it today. This one's bad, and I know it hurts. I still think it's a little bit of recency bias. 2011, you have a chance to choose who you're going to play. And they chose to play out against Atlanta and knock Atlanta out and let St. Louis in. And then obviously the Game 4 collapse by Cliff Lee. And that's a franchise record 102-win team right there. And honestly, I think if they get out of that series, they walk to the World Series. And I think they would have absolutely defeated the Texas Rangers that year. Tough lineup, but to me, 2011 is the biggest collapse that I can think of in Philadelphia sports history, at least in my lifetime. I mean, people can go back to, Mitch, maybe was it 67 or 68?
64. The 64 they won it, didn't it?
Yeah, it was. I'm talking about when the Phillies, I think we were up like 10 games with 16 games to go and blew it to St. Louis. I mean, that's something, but I can't speak to that. I didn't live it. But from
this
what
one's
I can
always
think
going to
of,
be more painful, Chrome, because it just happened. That's all.
Yeah.
If we were living during those collapses back, I was only 3 in 67, so I wasn't a very big fan of baseball at the time.
Yeah.
But this one, 2011, I look at it, that team was loaded. This team is loaded. And the number of arms in our bullpen, that's going to be the one thing I argue against, is using your closers in the 6th and 7th inning of a baseball game.
Well, it worked.
He got away with it.
Doesn't work, right, Mitch?
He got away with it.
Yeah.
In the one game where Strom closed the game. But once you get by your closers, you're going to people that have never done that job before. And there is some thinking that goes into that job, believe it or not. I didn't go out there. Everyone thought I just went out there and heaved it. Well, I'm heaving it to the guys I want to heave it to. If a guy's at the plate that I didn't want to throw it to, he's walking or swinging at balls.
Yeah.
And there's an art to it. And I just don't think you can manage that way on a consistent basis and get away with it. And I that would be my only real criticism of Rob. Just that the way he used the bullpen.
That would be game 4 to me, right? Like, I don't have a problem with the other ones. A lot of them didn't come back and bite you in the ass, right? But when I have $72 million sitting there, and we were all adamant that we thought Walker would get a start in this series when the time came, and they went with Sanchez, and I'm okay with that. I'm not against that decision. What I'm against
I wasn't either.
What I'm against is I have no problem with Hoffman in the high leverage there, right? Makes sense. You're not going to bring Walker in with guys on base and put him in that kind of spot. Right. But when the clean inning starts in the 4th, Robbie, I need you to go to $72 million because what the hell did we pay him then? What are we paying that kind of money? That's a hefty price tag. So what are we paying him $72 million for if he's not good enough to give us 3 innings, knowing that Craig pitched, and we talked about it, Craig pitched the night before through 32 or 35 pitches. He's 35 years old. The only place he's ever gotten beat at like that is Arizona. So if you want to look at the book and you want to be analytical, I'm not saying Rob is. I'm saying you have that information right in front of your face. When they signed Craig Kimbrell and everybody hated the signing last year, I was the first to defend him. And why I defended him is if you look at his splits, the reason they were so high with the Dodgers is Arizona owned his ass for whatever reason. Some places you just don't pitch well at. That's a place right. that was a place he didn't throw well. So his earned run average looked like it was in the 4s. But if you take out Arizona, he was really like 2.5, 2.7. That's glaring. So that's okay. That doesn't mean I can't run my closer out there, but I got to put everything into a bubble and say, okay, he threw 30-something pitches the night before. He's probably a tired arm. I got to be smarter about game 4 here. But I think deep down, and I'll stand by this, I felt like this team just thought they would come back home organizationally, as a ball club, as managers.
As
and
fans, we did the same thing.
Same thing. We would walk back to Citizens Bank Park, and nobody's beating you. Well, guess what? That's why you play the game. That's why you play the game. There were people in 93. Atlanta walked in here, and when you went to, oh, my God, what was it called? Oh, my God, what was Atlanta's field called back in the day?
Oh, Fulton County.
Fulton County. When you walk down to Fulton County, Mitch, everybody in Atlanta didn't think the Phillies in 93 had a shot to go in there and beat them. Okay, guess what? That's why you play it. It's not guaranteed to you. It's not a simulation. It's not MLB to show simulation. Nope. So you got to go play it. And guess what? Hopefully, and I say it to my athletes all the time, if you're willing to learn from your mistakes, you're going to grow. If you're not willing to learn from it, you're going to get the same result again. So hopefully this team as a group is willing to learn, and as a manager, on some of the mistakes they made. And Robbie was accountable, which is expected. He's an accountable guy. That's why his players like him. But again, it's so easy to point at Rob. I'll just point at game 4 decision. The rest of the series, to me, there's nothing on Rob Thompson. Like, he could have thrown that lineup in a blender in game 7 and came out with it and got the same results. Because guys are swinging out of their shoes. So, and then somebody last night, Greg, who I love Greg, he writes our criteria for us every Monday, but he's an idiot. Because the fact that he refuses to just put the plan back, he actually wanted to bring up, and I hope he listens to this, he wanted to bring up Kevin Long first. Are you out of your mind, Greg? Are you out of your damn mind? I do hitting lessons every day. I don't want your success, and I sure as hell don't want your failures. I'm going to give you a plan. I'm going to give you stuff to work on. We're going to have a game plan for your ABs. But at the end of the day, you got to go back, dude.
You got to execute. No matter what, you have to execute and be disciplined at the plate. Especially, like I said, the Phillies looked like the young, inexperienced team in game 6 and 7, and that just shocked me. It really did. They allowed Arizona's pitching to force them out of the zone. And to me, I look at Trea, as great as he did from August on, he got in games into the World Series or into the NLCS. I can't remember an at-bat where he didn't swing first pitch. And all that's doing, you're putting yourself in a hole if you don't put it in play.
Yep. Swung at a lot of bad first pitch balls, too.
Yeah, you could have thrown him the Rosenbag first pitch, you just swung at it. Mm-hmm. And that can't be his game plan. That cannot be a game plan in an NLCS. You have to change where the pressure is.
Yeah.
If you're the hitter, shift the pressure to the pitcher. And how do you do that? By taking pitches.
Well, it felt like, and we talked about, right, when we did our preview show 2 weeks ago, and we talked about game one coming out and getting on top of them and jumping on top early, right? I felt like they had a lot of success in game one and through game two with swinging at those first and second pitch strikes, right? And it felt like
If they're
obviously
strikes,
Arizona adjusted, right? But the Phillies continued to do that. To your point, when you talk about Trey and Nick, like some
Nick
of these guys were
didn't even
just
look
swinging
like
at
the same
everything.
hitter. Yeah. I mean, you take him out of the Atlanta series, he doesn't even look like the same guy in the NLCS. He was just up there swinging. It didn't look like he had a plan. And
He's
trust
guessing.
me, I know that hitters go through streaks where they don't see the ball very good. Nick, that might have been as bad as I've ever seen someone not seeing the baseball.
Listen, Mitch, we talked about it throughout the week, right? And it's like, but you can have a 2 for 28 as a group, like those four guys. That, like, I get it. Baseball has an ebb and flow to it. But you go 5 for 28, you win the series. That's the difference of like really struggling or just being in a slump. You can't have one of your best hitters go 0 for 23 in a stretch, right?
No.
If he's 3 for 23, guess who wins the series? The Philadelphia Phillies. That's when you go to a game 7, you know, Mitch, when you go to a game 7, the margin of victory to defeat is so slim. It's so little. It really is inches, right? And I still look back, and I know we put a lot on Robbie, and nobody's been harder in this city on JT Realmuto than me, and I'm not here to crush JT. But that's the series right there. You're up 5-2 with a runner on third and less than one out. Sorry, you can't swing at a pitch that bad. You cannot put a ball in play there.
No, and that's the whole thing. Contact would have won them the series. But I look at all the bad pitches they swung at. If I was Arizona, it didn't take them long to figure it out. It really didn't. They went through games 1 and 2. You got a 2-0 lead against a young team like that. All you have to do is go out there and be yourselves. And they tried to be more than themselves, and I just don't understand why.
No, and listen, I think, it was interesting. Like Bohm and Stott seemed to be the two guys to make adjustments at the plate. They started hitting better those last couple of games. And overall, I thought Schwarber hit pretty well. I mean, I know he had a couple of strikeouts, but, particularly, we talked about this Wednesday too, Tom. There was a point where he had a key strikeout, I think in game 5, and the umpire was calling the low strike out of the zone to where he almost forced him to have to swing at a pitch that was just slightly out. There was no chance he was going to make contact with it. But overall, yeah, I mean, guys just didn't make adjustments. Guys tried to be overly aggressive. Guys tried to press way too much. They swung at everything up and out of the zone. And again, I look at it, and really to me, Stott and Bohm were the only two that made any adjustments. And Marsh hit the ball well.
Yeah, Marsh, he swung the bat extremely well. I look at Harper, and Harper didn't do anything. In those last 2 games, I can't remember a thing he did, and he was another one that went outside the strike zone a bunch. He swung at that back foot breaking ball I don't know how many times in that series. And
a lot up, too, he started swinging at.
Yeah, and that's all you're trying to do as a pitcher. You want to change your eyes. Up, down, in, out. And that's the only formula they used. And Kelly is a 35-year-old guy. He doesn't have much experience in the major leagues, but he's the one that went out there and executed. He stayed out of the strike zone. And once he got ahead, all he did was continue to expand the zone.
Mm-hmm. And you can't get beat by a rookie twice. So, that's the other side of it. You can't have him shove it.
That really shocked me that they couldn't get to that kid.
It's amazing that they weren't able to.
And the crowd couldn't get to him either. That kid was amazingly calm and cool during his start here in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line was the guys who we needed to hit when we needed to hit did not. On the other side, Arizona, we talked about young guys who really haven't faced that moment and really have almost nothing to lose, started to get more confidence. And you looked at Carroll started to hit down the stretch, and that's carried over into the World Series so far.
Marte put on a display.
Marte was an absolute monster, an absolute beast, and he still continues to be in the World Series as well. I think
And
I
that's
think he
what the
set
Phillies have got.
a playoff record, right? Didn't he set the record for most consecutive playoff
Oh, yeah.
games with a hit?
17, I think. It was
And that's
17.
what I
Gurriel got
look at.
hits.
Arizona ain't going away.
No.
I don't know
No.
if they have the pitching to get back to the postseason next year. Because I'm looking at their closer. The guy throws 93 with a slider. I don't know how you don't adjust to that. It's not like his ball was completely filthy coming out of his hand. I mean, you put up 3 runs on Spencer Strider. It's throwing 100, and this guy's throwing 93 to close out a game, and we can't put the ball in play. I don't understand that at all. That should be like an at bat you look forward to.
Yeah, that's what I got tired of hearing how he hit the ball well. Like I just got tired of hearing it. Like hit the ball well, he's throwing 92. So a guy cannot hide the ball well and throw 99, and it's the same thing. So how are we not making adjustments to Seawald? With all due respect to Seawald, right? Because he shoved it, but Texas went and handled him the other night. So that's what aggravates you a little bit more.
I look at his stuff, and he's just not a guy that I would say, oh, there's a closer. Not to take anything away from him, because he pitched his ass off against Philly and did what he had to do. But that's not a guy that I look at as a closer. When he walks through that gate in the outfield wall, the game of baseball is all perception. If they put him in a mop-up role, he'd get lit up, because guys look at it's perception. When he walks through the gate, he'd be a mop-up guy. They'll wear him out. But let him walk through the gate in the 9th inning, oh, shit, their closer's coming in. No, it's the same guy that was in a mop-up role. And I can demonstrate this. We had Mike Williams in 93. Mike was just a mop-up guy. He threw 85 miles an hour with a curveball. He leaves Philly, goes to Pittsburgh, and saved 43 games. How does that happen? Perception. It's all perception with baseball players.
It is.
No, it's true. And looking at that Arizona lineup, you forget about some of the moves that they made too, right? They go out with Toronto and they make the move for Moreno and Gurriel, who were 2 absolute studs for them in this series, and again continue to hit. This team is good, and I'll tell you what, Mitch, I think that's what they addressed in the offseason, right? I think the lineup is set. They have young guys who are controllable and under contract. So where's their next move? It's who's going to be behind Gallen, right? And who's going to be in the back end of that bullpen. So, I mean, for
Kelly's
me,
doing a good job for him. I can't argue with what Kelly did. But they're top.
But even beyond him, right?
Right.
Go out and get a 3rd or 4th starter, a guy who can go out like a Ranger type of guy who can go out and you can depend on. And I think they go out and make another move or 2 in the bullpen. And guess what? That roster is loaded and ready to go for next year.
Their lineup is, that's for sure.
It's very clear cut. They're very clear cut on what they need for next year.
And the thing is, if they do win this World Series, that's just going to add to their confidence. And these young kids, I mean, it took Carroll a while to get going, but he got going. Marte looks like he's been in the big leagues for 15 years. He's just a kid that slows the game down unbelievably.
Yeah, he really
does. Professional. Has a hell of a glove, too.
Yeah. Well, you look at, if I'm looking at these Phillies, I can't even count how many relievers they had in the bullpen. They had to have 13 relievers in the bullpen for this series. And we saw the same guys every game, basically.
Yeah.
And I think they're really going to have to do a deep dive on their bullpen. For me, is a really good bullpen. I can't say anything bad about the pitching staff. I want to. Nola wasn't good in his last start. But when I look at this, the pitching staff was not the reason they lost the NLCS.
No, and Nola put him in a position to win. I mean, they still were in striking distance to have a shot to win. He did his job. He kept them in the ball game, kept the game close. On a bad day.
To me, astonishing that young team came into Philadelphia with that crowd, and the Phillies were the ones that looked jumpy.
You know what, though?
At the plate.
You know what, though? I feel like 2 or 3 years from now, right? We're sitting. This is why with the poll question, is this the biggest collapse? Where it wouldn't shock me if 2 or 3 years from now, this Arizona team is perennially in and out, and you're seeing just the start of it to where we look back and say, you know what? That team was really good. Maybe it wasn't so much of a surprise that they ended up getting the job done, because
I
this
just
could
don't
be
know that
the cusp of
Arizona's
them.
ownership will go out and spend the kind of money to stay on top.
As of right now, they don't need to yet, though. That's the thing.
They
They
do
don't
with
need to.
pitching. They're going to need pitching.
Oh yeah,
Believe me.
but their lineup is controllable. So I think a lot of it is that's what's going to allow them to go out and
Yeah, I
find
don't give a
some
shit what they are 3 years from now. To be like, with all due respect to them, like that's cute, that's cool. Right now, they weren't as good as us.
No.
So I could look back at it 2 years from now and say, well, that was a team, that was growing and they were coming to show everybody like, hey, we're here to stay. That's fine. They don't have the payroll, they don't have the talent we have, and they didn't have a 2-0 series lead and a 3-2 series lead, and managed to lose 4 out of the last 5 games with 2
that
at home.
To me is just it was,
so it's
crazy.
I mean, I look stupid. We all look stupid because we picked them in 5, 6, and 7, and they got spanked in game 6 and 7.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
bad.
pretty.
I mean, speaking about money, is Aaron Nola the number one priority this offseason for the Phillies?
I don't think there's any way they pay him. I think he'll get offered over $200 million on the free agent market, and I don't think the Phillies will match it. That'd be my guess.
Chrome, what do you think?
I think if a team is willing to really overpay him, I could see him going elsewhere. But my gut tells me he's back. I think him and Rhys are both back, if anything. And we've talked about this time. I think maybe Castellanos might be a guy you see get moved via trade. If they're going to shake anything up or move some guys around to fit, Rhys back into the lineup. I actually think Nola's more likely to be back than Rhys is. I'd be shocked if he's not. But you're right.
I don't think either one of them will be back. Honestly, they found out Bryce can play first base. The more he plays it, the better he's going to get. He's already a better fielder than Rhys, and he's never played the position until this year. The bottom line is, like I said when they were talking about it, he's a baseball player. You can put Bryce anywhere on the field. He's not going to look stupid. So I think they found their first baseman. I think they can save money. The only way Nola comes back, in my opinion, is if Rhys doesn't. Because if they have to pay one or the other, they're going to pay Nola.
Yeah, as they should. His durability alone, to me, is he's a have to bring back. He's the number one priority for me. Just durability. But I also get it. Like if somebody overpays them, I don't think they're going to match it. They got a very interesting offseason ahead of them. Like, and not in like a negative way. Just like
I don't think there's any chance both of them are back. And like you said, Tommy, with his durability, it's hard to go out there and find guys for a starting rotation that are going to make every start. And Nola does that. I mean, there's some of his starts that I wish he hadn't have made because he just sucked in them. But the bottom line is he gives them a chance to win. He's durable. He every fifth day, he's going out there. And their rotation right now ain't bad. I mean, 1 through 5. Sanchez, to me, I think is only going to get better. You got Walker for your fourth starter, Ranger for your third, Nola, and Wheeler. That ain't a bad starting 5 with the arms they got behind them.
Yeah, I agree. You think anybody's traded?
In my opinion, the only place they would make a trade is out of their bullpen. It wouldn't surprise me to see them move the left-hander, not Alvarado, Soto. Soto's got a big arm. What did he pitch once in the postseason? That to me is shocking. Hoffman is the one that took over all the high leverage situation. Right, left, didn't matter. He's the guy that Rob wanted out there, and he proved him right. Hoffman pitched his ass off. But Soto ain't bad either. And I look at that bullpen. They've got some big arms down there. They might be able to move for something. I don't know.
Makes sense. I was trying to find a way to get Juan Soto over here, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, there's no chance Juan Soto. They ain't going to take on that contract. And look at all the shit that happened in San Diego when you put all those guys on the same team. Soto, Tatis, Machado. There's a whole bunch of personalities there, and Soto's a guy that rubs people the wrong way. He's a hell of a player, but some of his antics rub people the wrong way, and I don't think they're going to upset the apple cart by bringing in a guy like that.
I agree with that.
I don't know. That's a real weird mix over there between all three of them. Tatis, Machado, Soto.
Well, I can tell you this. They overpaid Tatis so much it's not even funny.
Oh, I mean, they tried to get ahead of the curve, and
he will never,
that one now.
ever live up to that contract.
No.
He can't stay healthy. People on his own team don't like him. It's just a bad situation. And I wouldn't want any part of that situation coming to the Phillies clubhouse.
Well, the guy's hurt, misses almost an entire season, comes back, gets pinched for steroids, and misses like another half a season. I mean,
he's not bright.
Not the smartest man in the
No, and anybody that does steroids, they're going to spend time on the DL.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a given. Absolutely a given.
They try and throw too much weight on a frame that ain't built to hold it.
See, real quick earlier too, Mitch, I do think there's a shot because I think Rhys, coming off of this injury, could be had on a 1-year deal for a much smaller number than he maybe would have normally gotten. And I think there is a path to bring both of them back, but you have to move one of your outfielders, and it's probably going to be Castellanos, which will open up some money. I think it's up to Bryce. If Bryce wants to play outfield, he's going to play outfield. I think him having Tommy John has nothing to do with anything. He can always move to first base later. That's what you learn. He's still young enough to play outfield. He can move to first base later, and you know he'll be fine.
Yeah, but why would I take, if I'm a general manager, why would I make my defensive team weaker? And this is, I love Rhys. I love what he does for the Phillies, especially being in the dugout and the clubhouse. He's a clubhouse guy. The guys love him, but this is a business.
I get it.
The business is winning. And Bryce is already a better first baseman than Rhys.
I think it depends on how much they value his bat and value his presence in the locker room, right? We know that there's going to be a defensive deficiency.
Who do they value? Whose presence do they value more in that clubhouse?
Just remember
Nola
too.
Or Rhys?
Yeah. Well, just remember too, you can always have Rhys, and then late in games you can move Harper from the outfield into first base and do a defensive outfield replacement. There's a lot of different there's a lot of ways they can be flexible with it. So
it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But
sure,
the other move they've got to do, you cannot have a guy in your lineup that is an out. And
no.
Rojas, as good as he is defensively, every time he walked up there, it didn't matter what they threw him. He was swinging at it and trying to hit the ball out of the park. And I said, how many times, Tommy? Spring training comes, his ass is going to spend an hour a day bunting. If you can't get a bunt down and you can't hit, what use offensively are you?
I think he was like staring down the pitcher every time he struck out too.
And that's what I don't understand.
Which is confusing.
You're swinging at balls that are 6 feet outside, and you're going to stare at the pitcher? Like, I ain't going to throw you anything you can reach if I know you're going to swing at everything.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you a pitch to hit.
He has to understand his bat is not in that lineup to hit the ball out of the park. His bat is in that lineup to move runners and put the ball in play. It should be another deal like in the movie Major League with Willie Mays Hayes. Every time you pop a ball up, you're doing 20 push-ups.
Yeah, get on the ground.
I mean, nothing. He'd only get stronger, which is a good thing, but that's something they have to address. He's a tremendous defensive outfielder, but you cannot have. It was like having a pitcher hit ninth. He was an out, and there's some pitchers out there that I'd take over him at the plate. So they have to address that situation.
No, they're right. They're right. I mean, they got to figure it out. Maybe in off season he's got some big league experience. Maybe he can become a better hitter, develop a little bit more. But I mean, that was tough to watch.
Oh, I almost felt bad for him chasing the stuff he could have had a 45-inch bat and not hit some of the stuff he swung at.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break on Here's the Thing. And we'll be right back. We'll continue to talk Phillies with you, talk a little World Series, and whatever you guys have for us. We'll be right back.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years, and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
In our family, food is our daily bond. My Nonna, affectionately called Mama by many, found solace and joy in the kitchen, sharing her love through delicious creations. She turned her culinary passion into a flourishing business alongside her husband and sons in 1983. Celebrating 40 years is a testament to our exceptional team, friends, family, and beloved customers. With gratitude, we look forward to the future, expanding our brand to share the highest quality Italian food and wine nationwide. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has played a part in our story. Grazie mille.
Hats.com is the premier destination for quality and fashion-forward hats and more, with designs for every style and trend. Locally based and run by Philly sports team fanatics, Hats.com can help you elevate your hat John. Utilize the easy-to-use guides at Hats.com to find your perfect size and style, and shipping and returns are free. Hats.com. Find yourself in a hat. Use code Philly for 15% off your order. Hats.com.
Williams here. If your company ships freight, join my winning team at Raymond Transportation Corporation. Let us become part of your team. RTC has been serving shippers nationwide for 26 years, with 10 terminals located throughout the U.S., volume LTL, small LTL, truckload, and rail. You can count on RTC to be the closer you need. I know firsthand that the Delaware Valley demands accountability. Call me at 800-206-3983 to schedule a meeting. Give me one shipment, and we will earn the rest.
Welcome back, everybody. Here's the thing with Mitch Williams, Tom Arnone, and Chrome. We are also brought to you by Hats.com. You can use code Philly for 15% off your order at Hats.com, and you can get the same hat Brian Dawkins wore in his Hall of Fame induction speech. So go check out Hats.com, grab yourself a lid, and use code Philly for 15% off. A little programming note, because there was a question like early on in the show about this is our last show. Well, it's not our last show forever. We're obviously going to figure out, and we're going to dissect sort of what the off season is, right? I know there's some big, obviously events, I like to call them, winter meetings, other things like that. We're a top 5 market, so we would want to do some hot stove stuff with you guys. And obviously, when spring training's back, we want to be off and running, right? So that's the goal. I think there's probably like 3 or 4 shows that we can do in the off season now. And I think there'll probably be some ones that we'll throw in because maybe we bring back a Nola, right? We want to talk about him. Maybe we bring back a Rhys, or maybe we trade Nicky and we get Soto, and that's like big time breaking, and that's something we have to talk about. I'm just using Soto. I haven't even looked at free agency yet because I'm not even there yet. My brain hasn't gone to that level yet, which will come shortly.
Not ready yet.
Once the World Series is over.
You know the truly sad thing about this?
Yeah.
The Phillies were the most exciting baseball team on the planet for the first 2 rounds of the playoffs and for the first 2 games of the NLCS. But when you look at it, all the home runs, only one of them, I believe, wasn't a solo. And that is hard to do. They hit 19 or 20 home runs, didn't they, in the postseason?
Yeah.
They set a record. At one time, I think they had 19 or they had 20 and 19 of them were solos. And that, as much as we get excited about the home run ball, every pitcher will say, I don't care if they hit a home run as long as there ain't guys on.
Yeah, I think that's their biggest weakness all year. I think it's circled back to what their Achilles heel is. I don't think there's enough contact in this lineup. And there's obviously they didn't hit well. We're runners in scoring position in the NLCS, and that's something throughout the year that was a problem for this baseball team. So, guys like guys like Alec and Stott and Marshy, who I believe are more contact guys, they're not trying to lose the baseball every at bat. I think you need to find another one of those types of guys. Another guy, because you can have murderers row. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with guys they can hit a ball 440. So we're not
It's just
complaining
nice to
about
have guys on in front of them.
Yeah.
They can drive in.
Yeah, and I think like the days of like, we'll talk about this all in the offseason when we do shows, but there'll be days like, do we need to find a true leadoff hitter? Is there things that we need to do maybe a little differently in this lineup that could maybe there's 19 home runs, maybe 5 or 6 have some guys on? That'd be fun. Boys, I don't want to cut you guys short, but I gotta run. I got another early lesson today. So everybody out there, we appreciate you guys tuning in all season with us. We're sorry it didn't go the way we wanted it to. We're gonna have a fun all season, and we're gonna jump on and talk about things with you. And I'm already excited on what 2024 has in store for this Philadelphia Phillies baseball team. So it's not over, just didn't end the way we wanted to, right, guys? That's it. That's my biggest takeaway from it. Just didn't end the way we wanted it to.
No, I mean, like we all got teased because we saw the best team in baseball for the first couple of rounds of the playoffs.
We did.
They were exciting. They did everything right. And Denise asked the question, how much blame do I put on Rob Thompson? None. He didn't hold a bat. He didn't throw a pitch. Rob did what he was there to do. He didn't change. Like I said, I don't agree with the way he uses the bullpen at times, but it's hard to argue with the success he's had. He's been here 2 years, or a year and change. He wasn't even here for the whole year last year. He put him in a World Series and an NLCS. People in Philadelphia want to bitch about that. They need to find something else to bitch about because this guy's done a great job.
Exactly. I don't think he's the least of my problems. There's always going to be managerial decisions that you don't like. There's also been times where I'm like, what is he doing? And it works out. So, we can't have both ways in this city. I mean, we talked 2 weeks ago that like, who are we to tell him that that's a bad decision when everything's working for him, right? So it's like that catch-22. But guys, it's been a fun year regardless. I got to jump out, but enjoy the rest of the show. And the three of us will talk soon. We'll come up with a little bit of an off-season game plan for us here.
You got it.
Those some big topics. Mitch, it's been a blast.
Yeah,
Next year we're going to cut the nets down now. Next year we're cutting the nets down.
That'd be nice.
And
Denise for the
second series. Give me the Rangers. I don't think they've ever won a World Series.
They haven't.
So,
no, believe me, I played here 3 years.
That fan base deserves it. To be fair, that fan base deserves it. I remember back when I was at their first ballpark, and I watched Nolan Ryan when I was down with my uncle. He lived in Dallas for a while, and I got to go watch. I actually got to go watch a Nolan Ryan no hitter. So
at Arlington Stadium.
Yeah, at Arlington Stadium. So it was a pretty cool experience. I still remember that. How can you forget a no? But let's go Rangers. Screw the Diamondbacks. I'm not the guy to be like, well, since they beat us, I want them to win. No.
I'm rooting for one of my ex teams.
Yeah, but I think
every year one of my ex teams is in. When you play for all of them, it's easy to do
that. I'm rooting for Boshi, so let's go.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I'll talk to you guys later.
You bet, bud.
Right,
and Denise, for the second half of your question, yes, we did already address this. But if it's me, I'm not bringing Rhys back. It has nothing to do with his personality. I just think they're a better team with Bryce at first base.
Yeah, agreed. I just think it's the value, but you're right. In terms of the defensive aspect, I can't disagree with you. I think Bryce obviously needs some work.
Oh, he's only going to get better. He played 36 games before the NLCS at first base.
Right.
He did pretty damn well.
He's not a liability, and that's a win right there. The fact that he's not even close to a liability. So coming out of this year, let me ask you this. Is there anybody next year that you look at who you say like a bold prediction of having an even monstrous or a bigger year next year? I know we talked about some of the young pitching. We've talked about some of, maybe it's a Stott or a Bohm. Is there anybody you see next year, right? Because I think this year we had one All-Star in Castellanos, right?
Yeah, probably.
Is there anybody you see next year who you say, okay, this guy's going to play on an All-Star caliber year next year?
Well, for my money, Stott is going to be a perennial All-Star at second base. Defensively,
feels like a matter of time, right?
Yes. I mean, defensively, this guy's in the Gold Glove conversation. And you look at the two teams that played in that series. You got Marte at second and Stott at second. and both of them are former shortstops, making unbelievable plays. They're going to battle for the Gold Glove for years at second base, in my opinion. And Stott offensively is only going to get better. I wish, and I don't know if he did this or he didn't do it, but the later in the year it goes, he and Bohm both look like they were late on everything in the postseason. Fouling balls back that they normally crush. And that to me is just, it's a matter of ounces. If they learn that come August, your body is shot and it won't hurt you to go to a lighter bat. You don't have to change the model, just change the weight. And I know they did it for years when I was playing, and it's something that I think can help them be more successful in the at the end of the year and in the postseason.
Yeah. Mitch, here's one for you. If you remember last week, somebody offered you a T-bone. Leaky Jeep, he's back. Wants to give you still offer you that T-bone, Mitch. You in?
Oh, yeah, I'm in. Wait a minute. Yeah, I do have a number for RTC. Go ahead, Chrome. Do your thing. I'm just going to pull this up.
Oh, you're good. He was asking if you have an email or if the RTC number is the one to get you.
Oh, just email me at 99mitchwilliams@gmail.com.
There it is. Might be getting a steak.
I don't know if I can go to Minnesota. It was 34 here in Texas this morning.
I heard it was getting a little chilly there.
Supposed to be 28 tomorrow morning. We're already freezing here.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. You go from 100 a week ago and now you're at 34.
I know. No. It is the time of year, Mitch. It's I mean they had snow I think yesterday and right before the game in Denver, the basketball game. Here we go. Let's see. Ryan Swope.
Go get a
guy like Bobby Abreu. First hit, high run production guy, very disciplined, patient hitter with a great eye for the strike zone. Who hit 2 times the amount of doubles to home runs, and who still hit for plenty of power.
Well, I'm pretty sure Bobby retired.
Well, I think he's saying somebody of that makeup, right?
That would be great if you could find a guy like that.
I don't even know if there's a whole lot of guys like that anymore in Major League Baseball. Everything is launch angle and home runs.
As long as launch angle are 2 words that are used by professional baseball players, strikeouts are going to continue to go up. Used to be if you struck out 100 times, it was embarrassing. Now they're striking out 200 times a year. Honestly, I don't think I could strike out 200 times a year if you gave me 500 at bats. It's just guys trying to do too much.
Absolutely. And I think we saw that big time. You said it right. A lot of self-admission and reflection regarding that exact thing that you're talking about from this lineup. I think they realized they pressed a little bit too much.
No, they pressed a lot of bit too much.
And they did not make the adjustments.
The worst thing you can do with pitchers that you're trying to get under their skin is go down 0-1. Because every 0-1 count, their confidence continues to grow. And once you're 0-1, you're not in or you shouldn't be still in the aggressive mode. You go 0-2, now it's about putting the ball in play. Right. And that's all there is to it. You have to put the baseball in play. And guys today, they just don't see the importance of that.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%, Mitch. We're going to get if you guys have any more questions or anything for Mitch, drop them in now. We're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes for our regular season. And then we'll be, like I said, stay tuned for more programming alerts in the off season. We're going to come up with some fun things, as well as hopefully circle back. Denise says we need more contact hitters. Said it last year. We need it so bad.
That's an absolute fact, Denise. And until these guys understand that a single with guys on first and second is an RBI, just like a home run is an RBI. All of it counts. The game is based on the amount of runs you score. You look at Arizona, they weren't afraid to bunt guys over. They played the game the way it used to be played, and the Phillies couldn't handle it.
Manufacture runs, Mitch.
That's right.
The way to do
go
it.
back to Whitey. Herzog. You got
You know, I
guys like
grew up on Whitey
Ozzie
Ball.
Smith, the Kendo, all that stuff. They were about moving runners. If your leadoff guy got on base, your second hole hitter, if that leadoff guy's not standing on second when your at-bat's done, you failed at your job. That's all there is to it. And nowadays, there's no premium put on that at all.
No, I mean, even when you look at Arizona, right? And they talked about it. I mean, Carroll's a guy who could steal a ton of bases just like Trey can. And I don't think he even really attempted to steal a base until game 5?
He was on base 38 times and hadn't attempted a stolen base in the postseason.
Which is crazy to me. It's crazy to
unbelievable.
me.
He stole 56 during the regular year.
Yeah, like I get it when with a guy like Wheeler, who's it's tough because he's so short to the plate and he works really fast. It's tough to get the timing on a guy like him, but you know, I thought there was plenty of opportunities. You know, when they're out there with Ranger and they were out there with Sanchez, I really thought that they would try to steal more bases, and they didn't. Now you started to see it in game 5, 6, and 7. They started to, like we said,
take their chance,
get guys on base, walk, try to bunt guys over, and manufacture runs. Because again, when you're in that hostile environment, Mitch, right? Anything that you can get across the plate to take that crowd out of it was so important, and they did that really, really well.
And Arizona did in Game 7 what we said the Phillies had to do, and that was score first.
Yeah.
Anytime you score first, you put the opposing team on notice that you're not just there to be there. You're there to win. And these guys, I really wish that the game could kind of go back what it used to be, where there was a premium put on guys that could move runners, guys that when you get them in scoring, get guys in scoring position, there's no chance of striking out. They're putting the ball in play. And Arizona, look at all the hits they got. There was a lot of them. They're just putting the ball in play. They're doinks into the outfield, short little line drives into the outfield, fly balls that you couldn't get to. It's not like they killed the baseball. They just put it in play. And like I said to start the show, the Phillies look like the younger, more inexperienced team in Game 6 and 7.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Thomas had a few big home runs. I think Marte might have had. I know Gurriel had one, and maybe Marte might. They didn't really tear the cover off the ball. They didn't hit for a whole lot of power in this. I mean, they shut Walker down completely. He's the one guy that didn't do anything the whole series, and he's their big power hitter. He's their four-hole big-time run producer.
He did what the young guys were supposed to do and went out of the zone. He swung at a couple balls that damn near hit him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, falling out of the box, and he's swinging at him. That's how the rest of that young team was supposed to look. And that ain't how they look. Marte, when he walked to the plate, it was the look on his face. And I'm a guy that reads all that stuff, always. I look at the pitcher's face. I look at the hitter's face. Marte, not one at bat did he believe he was going to make an out. Not one.
Nope.
The look on his face is, where is this ball going? And he took what the pitchers gave him.
Yep. Even when and we were talking about how, was it Game 6 or Game 7, Mitch, where struck out his first 3 times up?
Yeah. I think it was Game 6.
And he never got phased. He didn't change his approach. He didn't look impatient. Next thing you know, boom, he hits a double down the line, drives a run in. It's like, that's what we need here, right? Guys, you saw Nicky, you saw Trey, you saw Bryce, you saw these guys getting deep, getting behind in counts and pressing. Him literally strikes out. And I mean, he looked bad in those first 3 at-bats that he struck out too.
Yeah.
Still came up, same tone, same mannerisms, didn't change, looked confident, looked patient, got his pitch in that 4th at bat, was able to impact the ball game. It's crazy.
If I'm the Phillies, if I'm going to do anything with this lineup, I am going to try to find a guy that walks over 100 times a year and puts the ball in play. I don't care if he hits 260. If he hits 260 and walks 100 times a year, that's a guy I want. Because it pressures the defense.
Well, that's why, and to your point, Mitch, that is kind of like the modern day baseball, and I agree with you in that. You know, a guy like Schwarber, listen, he can hit 198, 197, 190, whatever,
and drive in over 100 runs,
and his on base percentage is like 380, which shows He's taking good at bats, right? When he makes contact, is he a ground ball guy? Is he going to hit him in the corner very often? No, it's all or nothing. But he's driving runs in. He's getting big hits and key parts when you need to, and he's getting on base when you need to as well. That's kind of what it is now. Batting average is not as, in my opinion, as important as let's look at a guy's on base percentage, let's look at his on base percentage or his batting average with runners in scoring position. Those are the telling things, in my opinion.
Well, and that's where I look at what you're talking about with Nick. Trading him. Nick drove in over 100 runs this year for the first time in his career. I'm not trading him. His NLCS was abysmal. No one knows it better than Nick. But look what he did last year. He sucked and then came back this year and drove in over 100. Right. I think Nick is going to be fine. He got in a funk in the NLCS where he wasn't seeing the baseball. Bad timing, yes. But, guy, I'm telling you, the best hitters in the world, which these guys are, all of them go through a period or two during the season where you can throw them a volleyball, they ain't putting it in play. They're just not seeing the baseball. And it's one of those things where what do you mean you're not seeing the baseball? When your timing or something is off, that means you're not seeing the baseball because you don't know when to start and you don't know when to not start. That's what not seeing the baseball is. They're not picking it up out of the hand, so they're not getting started. So what happens when they don't get started and they get beat by a fastball? Now they start cheating. And that's what Nick did. He just swung in the NLCS. There was no rhyme or reason to any of it. He was just swinging because he wasn't seeing the baseball and he was hoping they'd screw up and hit his barrel. And everybody goes through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey asks, why did the Phillies stop being aggressive on the base heads? We kind of just addressed this. I mean, for one thing, they weren't getting on base very much.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big way to stop their running game. They weren't getting on.
Trey wasn't. Marsh is really the only guy, I think, with a little bit of speed that I can really recall.
Well, and Moreno.
Stott maybe too.
Moreno is one of the best throwing catchers in the game.
It's very, very, very difficult to steal Moreno. What a steal for that team, by the way. Arizona going out and getting him and Gurriel from Toronto. Like, what a steal.
They added pieces to their team that they needed. And like I said, this team, if they happen to win this World Series, or even if they don't, there was no way this team was expected to even be in the postseason this year. So all they're doing is just bolstering their confidence. Next year, it's going to be interesting because if they don't add pitching, I don't believe they'll be back to the playoffs. But that lineup is no joke.
Yeah. So, Mitch, who do you got? Who's your pick in the World Series? You said you have the Rangers. Do you have how many games?
I think it goes 7. I think the Rangers pull it out.
Okay. Yeah, it's so. I had Rangers, and I still feel like I'm going Rangers, but man, I just think Marte is such a ball player. Like, dude's just
he's a tremendous player. What's going to kill him though, Chrome, is once they get by their top 2 starters.
It's going to be tough.
The Rangers don't chase.
Tonight will be very telling.
Yeah, they're going to be facing the number 1 offense in the American League, which is what the Rangers were this year. And they don't go out of the strike zone very often. Simeon's struggling right now. He's going outside the zone, but the rest of them, you're going to have to outscore them. There ain't going to be any 2-1 games in this series. It's going to be a who scores the most type of deal.
I agree. I think for me, it's a fun. Would I rather the Phillies be there? Sure, but it's a fun World Series to watch because it's 2 of my favorite young players in the game, in Garcia and Marte, and I feel like both guys are already shining. I mean, obviously Garcia with the walk-off home run and extra innings. What a game that game 1 was, by the way.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I'm going 6 games here for the simple reason of what you said. Because that Rangers team for the most part is hitting, and they're not to this point looking like what the Phillies have looked like. They just keep going, and I just think Garcia is going to have a special series, probably be the series MVP, I'm going to go Rangers. I got him in 6.
That lineup is going to force that Diamondback pitching staff to throw strikes, and strikes are hittable.
Well, and now they've proven that they can get to Seawold. So, you
Yep.
know, that means they already know there's no lock at the end of the back of that pitching staff. So, Mitch,
Well,
this
we'll
was
see how
fun.
it plays out, and I can't wait until we start doing some hot stove stuff, buddy.
Me too, brother. But hey, listen, this was a blast, Mitch. I'm glad I got to jump on and be a part of this with you guys,
Me too, brother.
and everybody there who's joined us for all of our shows. Again, don't worry, we're coming back at some point, but we're going to take a little bit of time off, take a little downtime. So enjoy the off season. We still got Eagles. You got whoever else you like. It's been a fun World Series if you can get yourself to watch it. But again, Mitch, thank you for all your stories, your candidness, and your insight with us. You're a huge fan favorite here on A2D Radio, as well as a favorite with a lot of us here. So we appreciate you and look forward to touching base soon.
Chrome. You bet, buddy. And thank you to all you people that tune in. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll continue to do something that you like to watch.
We will. And listen, and shout out to our sponsors through this time, Carlino's, Royal Billiards, RTC, hats.com. Appreciate all you guys. And make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow on all of our social media platforms. And until next time here, when we come back with some hot stove stuff, for myself, for Mitch Williams, for Tom Arnone, and everybody here at A2D Radio, have a great off season. We love you guys, and give somebody a hug.
Y'all be safe, and y'all have a great holiday season when Thanksgiving gets here. Thank y'all.
You too, brother.